All right, Dream Team, we've got a new couple of leaders in our best buys of teams list here, which is pretty cool. We're going to kick it off with the Tigers for our next round up here, and it's going to be the Warriors for them, the Cowboys, and the Knights. So pretty stock standard little selection here. Warriors would be, fairly nice contest for him, along with the Knights, I'd say, and then Cowboys would be pretty tough, I think, there, and hopefully a few good scores against them in that front. There's plenty of talk at the moment around some of these Tigers, Fainu especially, we've all got on our minds. Is he potentially a sell? Do we have enough trades to do that? Is he going to score a try or something here in the next few? Could do, but we'll see how that one plays out. So Tigers, I don't think there's anyone you'd be looking to purchase apart from maybe a John Bateman in the Tigers setup. Hold on to Galvin. Fainu, you can do what you please with him, whether it's hold or sell. For the Titans, they obviously have no buys left, but Dolphins away into Broncos at home, Sharks at home. It's a pretty tough little stretch for them with all three of those teams, top 8 worthy sides, with Broncos not in there at the moment. But with Reynolds back, they're a different prospect, obviously. So something to note with those Titans, guys, if you're looking to bring him in, it is only Campbell, it's only Fafita, and probably Beau Fermor, especially if he gets the center tag as well. That'll be pretty cool. So, yeah, pretty simple with the Titans on this one. Not in my top 5 buys list, that's for sure. Dolphins, they're up next. They've got the Titans, the Roosters, and the Warriors all at home. So that's not the worst run in the world. The Roosters one's going to be the hardest one. The other two won't be too bad, and I don't think it'll hurt any of their attacking players. I thought last week with Plath to be able to get a lot of tackles, and hopefully that's the where it ends up. If you are looking at Hamiso, then there's no problem there at all with the upcoming little schedule. It does get a bit harder following that, but if you're focusing on the next 3, then that should work out pretty well. And I doubt that any of their players will get a rest in the back stretch of these games. Storm's up next. They've got the second best schedule, or the second best team I'd be focusing on here. There obviously is a little bit of risk, a decent risk at that, of a potential resting for some of their top guys. But if you are looking for maybe, the not Harry Grants, not Jerome Hughes, these types of players, I do think that there's a high chance that they all play for the rest of the season. If you're looking at like a Jack Howarth, if he keeps his spot, I doubt he'll be rested in round 27. Expect some of those type of players, maybe like a Sean Blaw, to keep his spot in that round 27 game. I hope so. We'll see how that plays out. Harry Grant, Hughes, as I said, we'll see where Munster's at the moment, if they're going to be resting candidates for that last round. So we'll see how that one plays out. But yeah, Storm, Eels, Dragons, Bunnies in the next 3. Then they have Panthers away, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult, obviously. But this next 3, it's a really, really good little run in fantasy and SuperCoach there for the Storm. Sharkies are up next. They've removed their final bye, which is good. I've got them at a 60% chance of resting as well. Britt Nicker is probably their biggest guy to look at. Obviously, Trindle as well, I think, is a really solid one. We have Ira already. You might be looking at a T. Wilton if he starts. You could be looking at a Ronaldo or holding him. So plenty of guys to look at and hold on to. You got Cowboys away, into Bunnies, into Titans, into Knights and Dragons. So a very, very good stretch of games. And someone like Trindle could absolutely do a job for your side if you're looking in that price bracket, for sure. So keep him in mind there as a goal-kicking fella that averages a tick over 50, actually, when he's the main guy. Panthers, I've got them as the best buy right now. They still have a big risk of rest as well for their big dogs. And is that, basically saying they have one more buy left, which a lot of teams still do, with the Tigers, Knights, Broncos, Eagles, Warriors, Roosters, Cowboys. There's still 7 out of the 17 teams still have a buy remaining. So basically just slot that in for all of their top guys, especially, but a lot of them are really good purchases as well. So keep that in mind. With Cleary, obviously, Casey McLean might be a really interesting option in the centres. People are still looking at Isaac Tungo. I just bought him. Isaiah Yeo is going to be a really big target this week as well. So expect some points to be laid on against the Dragons, the Knights, and obviously the Eels as well. Even potentially the Storm. That'll be a really awesome clash. But then Raiders, Rabbitohs, Titans to finish off the year. So not a very tough stretch for them, and I do think that they'll warm into form over that next month or so. For the Bunnies, they've got the Raiders, the Sharks, and the Storm. So their easier run is now coming to a bit of an end. Obviously, Raiders away won't be too easy for them. I think that that's going to be a really fun clash for sure, a closer one at that. So it's those 3 teams, and then Tigers again in round 24 before Knights in 25. So yeah, pretty sort of stock standard run there. Pretty low chance of rest as well. No buys. So if you're looking at Kolomatangi, Whiten, these types of players, Cook, definitely continue going for that. But yeah, there's obviously a little bit of a risk that they've all gone up a fair bit in price and maybe a little bit overpriced based on what they can perform, what you can get out of them for the near future. But the doggies, I got them in third on the list. They were in this top 5 last week. They've got the Broncos, Raiders, and Dragons into Dolphins, Warriors again. So a pretty nice stretch of games. No buys, very low risk of rest. And there's a bunch of guys that are of interest with Preston, with Burton there doing good things. Karaz is another one to have a look at as well. So, and then Bradley Hayward is a cheaper guy. Josh Curran. There's plenty of guys to look at in that dog side. I think they'll all do really, really well. Very, very simple, that one. The Eels, I just don't think you can look to target any of them. They've got Storm, Warriors, Panthers, into Roosters, Broncos. It's just disgusting. Hold on to Dylan Brown. I don't think buying him's the play, but holding on is definitely the steady play there. You could hold on to Madison. You could hold to Talangi, but I think it's a little bit of a worry for those outside backs. Penasini, these types of guys, for this little stretch of games for the Eels. They could fall off a cliff. They might be able to play okay, but we don't know that. Raiders, I've got them fairly high on this list. I think I have them about 6 as the best buys list. They've got guys like Fogarty, who you could target. Hudson Young looked really good on the weekend. You've got Matt Timoko, who's at a fairly cheap price there in the centres. Holding on to someone like Ethan Strange. You may have Kale Weeks as well. So we'll have to see how this one plays out. It could be a good week for even holding a week. So if you want to sell him, understand. Dogs, Seagulls, Cowboys. Not the worst run. Not the best either, but someone like Fogarty, the base stats are going to come. And Zach Hosking, if he managed to get a start at some point, he's going to be a terrific purchase. And he's one of those guys, depending on what he starts at next year, he's going to be a really, really fun player to have a look at in our sides. Dragons next. They've got the Panthers, Storm, and Dogs, which just makes it a little bit too tough to even go for someone like Lomax, who's probably the main guy you might want to look at in a Dragons uniform. So we'll leave it at that. The Knights, they've got a bye this week into Panthers. So from round 23, we're going to start to talk about them as purchases. But right now, if you've got Ponga, if you've got Marzu, if you've got a KPP, you're holding those types of guys. Outside of that, there's going to be a couple of sells as well. Obviously, Bradman Best is the big one there. Adam Elliott, Dylan Lucas, potentially. If he's getting moved around too much, we'll have to see with that one. You could just hold him this week as well so that you have a looper. You might not have any out or many out this week. So having that extra, having that looper in there is going to be important just to make sure that you can get a good score with that, 17th man. Broncos, I got them on number 4 just because they're going to be so desperate and they've got Reynolds back and everyone looks better with Reynolds in the side. So even though it is Dogs in the first game, it's going to be a harder one, but a really fun clash and I think a really high quality clash, which is what we want. Ball in play, good things happening. Payne Haas, Carrigan will be a bit cheaper. You've got even guys like Dean Mariner doing good things. Reece Walsh will be in there as well, which will be good. We're into Titans and the Cowboys, then a bye, but it's still Eels, Dolphins, Storm following that. So it's not the worst run at all. So I've got them in number 4 because of the desperate nature that's going to come. This Eagles vs Roosters clash is going to be absolutely hectic. So Roosters away into the bye, then it does get easier there. Raiders, Warriors, Tigers, Dogs, Sharks for the Eagles. So right now, not a great purchase, but in a couple of weeks, there'll be a few of these guys on the list with Olakau'atu, Garrick, obviously, Turbo, potentially DCE, and these types of players who will be on people's hot list for sure. Warriors, I got them as the number 5th best purchase just because there's a dearth of options. It's really you could go for Roger this week, likely to play fullback against the Tigers, but then probably moves back over the next few weeks to the wing or the centres when obviously Chance comes back and then if Tuapiki comes back next week after the concussion. But they do have Tigers, Eels, Dolphins over the next 3 weeks. So they have one of the best runs over the next 3. They play Tigers this week, which is obviously helpful, but it's Adam Finnell-Blake, it's Mitch Barnett, it's Dylan Walker. They're the main sort of targets this week coming. Roosters, they've got obviously a bye in there. I don't know if that's going to be their only, week that they get that rest. It could be later on as well, but they do tend to play all their players against that, the Bunnies in that clash that they've got there. And if Latrell's going to be there, I imagine everyone's going to play. So maybe they just use that round 23 as their rest week. But for them, Seagulls, Dolphins into bye, Eels, Titans, Raiders. Rabbitohs is a pretty nice stretch of games to finish the season. Guys like Dong Young are going to be interesting. Tedesco, obviously there. Watson, sad. Crichton. So many options there. Terrell May, if you're holding on to him, these types of guys to continue going forward. And then to finish off the video here, Cowboys, very low percentage of chance of rest now, I think. They're into the 8th spot now. And they'll be fighting for a home final, basically, is what they're going to do over the next bunch of weeks. They have a bye in round 25 as well. But the next few are Sharks, Tigers, Broncos, Raiders. Pretty even keel type of run for him. And I'm keen for that. It is a Leichhardt Oval, so Tigers probably win that one. I've been to Leichhardt and watched them Cowboys lose against the Tigers a bunch of years ago. But yeah, that'll be a fun matchup. This Sharks one will be good as well. And the Cowboys are playing decent. So guys like Cotter are really good to own. Drinkwater, hit and miss obviously sometimes. Val Holmes getting cheap, but is he someone you want? And then guys like Lukey and Nanai, these types of players are doing good things as well. So Reece Robson, if you want him for the back end. So plenty of options across all of the teams. Obviously, just have a little think about where your trade situation is at, what you can do with that, how many you can make this week safely without running out of trades. And let me know in the comments if you are down to, if you're going to use 4 trades this week, you used 4 last week, and you're down to a donut with 6 rounds to go, basically round 22 to round 27. So thanks so much for being here, guys. Appreciate you all for coming. As always, hope this helps you in your endeavors to make some selections on teams and players. And if it does, let me know down in the comments as well if it's very helpful for you. And we'll catch you in that team list video this afternoon. But of course, strangely enough, we don't have a Thursday game this week. It's on Friday. So we'll just space out the content a little bit once we get on the information and don't ram it all down your throat on a Wednesday. So yeah, there you go, guys. See you later.